Hello. In the last video, we had hosted our website, a static website out of S3 bucket, which I'm currently accessing here. Quick check. I'll just copy this URL and maybe paste it here. Yeah. So, what I wanted to show you is this is an HTTP URL and not an HTTPS URL. So, how do you get an HTTPS URL? That is through adding an SSL or TLS SSL/TLS layer on top of your website or your domain. Yeah, that's what you should be doing. How do you add that SSL or TLS certificate? That is through a certificate manager, which we'll be doing in a later on video, but just wanted to have it out there that this is an HTTP URL. Also, the domain name for this particular URL, as I mentioned in our last video, it is amazonaws.com and not our own domain. Okay, so now let me get into it. This step of our AWS pipeline setup is completely done. Now I'm coming back to Route 53. All right. So what I've done so far is that the desktop is directly able to call S3 bucket and it is able to host that website like I'm just right now doing it, right? But it is not able to call it through a डिफाइंड DNS. लाइक मैं चाहती हूँ कि मेरे वाले जो मेरा नाम था vibhuti.cafe.com सिर्फ इतने पे मेरी वेबसाइट आ जाए, सिर्फ इतने पे, राइट? अगर मैं सिर्फ इतना करूँगी, वी कैन सी कांट फाइट द सर्वर, है ना? बिकॉज देयर इज नथिंग होस्टेड बिहाइंड द सर्वर, राइट? दैट्स व्हाट आई वांटेड टू टेल यू. सो that is where we want to finally get to. So desktop is directly able to, or a local system is directly able to call the S3 bucket. Okay, but we want Route 53 to be able to come in between and say कि ये वाली जो S3 bucket है वो इस वाले DNS पे भी available है. So like directly if you call this particular DNS, which is vibhuti.cafe.com in my case, or whatever your DNS is in your case, we want Route 53 to take that in charge and say I will tell you that at this particular DNS this is available. Okay, not talking much about it. So in our one of our previous videos you had seen that I had gone and actually requested for a DNS, right? That was our first step, and I had said that I'll be waiting and I'll maybe get a mail from AWS, and this is the mail that I got just some minutes ago, as you can see, which says we successfully registered this domain. We also created a hosted zone for the domain and blah blah blah. Okay, so ideally if you had not been if you do not have your DNS registered with AWS Route 53, then you would have to go and create a hosted zone for yourself. Okay, creating a hosted zone is also pretty straightforward. I'll go back to Route 53. You'll go into get started. Here you have an option for create a hosted zone. You'll get started. You'll give your exact DNS. All right, I'll not be able to give it because obviously as the mail says, it has already created a hosted zone for me. But you'll be doing the same steps. You'll just add, maybe let me just try it out for you. vibhuti.cafe.com. Nothing I want to give it. It is a public hosted zone, not a private hosted zone. So private hosted zone is like within companies, sometimes they have their own internal URLs and all that. That's what I'm assuming private hosted zone is. Then you create hosted zone and that's it. That's the only step that you'll have to do additional if your DNS is registered by some other registrar. Okay, but in my case, as we can see, there's already a hosted zone that has been created for me by Route 53 itself, as the mail suggests. Okay, in both the cases within Route 53 you will see that you get two types of records, which are NS records and SOA records. Okay, again, so if you have your DNS registered from some other registrar, then you will have to add these NS records under your DNS settings and under namespace, name servers. Okay, but in our case it's already done for me. Cool.